Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about enuresis. I'm Rita and today it's all about you. Enuresis is bedwetting and the most common is nocturnal form. And some children have diurnal and nocturnal enuresis. This condition cannot be diagnosed before the child has 5 years old because this is the time that the child has a total control of the sphincter, because has a full developed and control of the bladder. The main symptoms usually occur at least for 3 months, and it has to have an episode of bedwetting or self-wetting for 2 or 3 days in a row during a week. So it is important that this is something that only with this type of constancy any type of physician can diagnose as an enuresis. The main causes usually can be a small bladder, urinary tract infection, severe stress, and even the delays in the development, particularly in the toilet training. It also can be a sign of hormonal problems because it can show an imbalance in the antidiuretic hormone that usually in some people produce much more urine during their sleep, and of course the lack of control it. There are also genetic causes, and it's usually happens during teenager times when they are having this type of enuresis issue. It's usually also because their parents or their direct family member can eventually suffer from the same issue. And this is because there are very specific genes that can cause enuresis. Another cause can be sleep problems, because there are people that have such a strong and deep sleep that they cannot wake up when they feel that they need to go to the toilet, and this may explain this behavior. Also, some medical conditions may trigger this kind of problem. For instance, diabetes, any type of urinary tract disorder, constipation, or even deficiency in the structure of the bladder and of the urinary tract. Enuresis is very common during childhood, particularly in boys, which usually 7% of boys have this type of issue, and only 3% of girls can eventually have it. This is very also common during toddler times, which is something that it's outgrow when they achieve 5 or 6 years old. And only 1% of the teens population may eventually have this type of issue. In adults, enuresis is incontinence. And this can eventually happen after, for instance, a pregnancy, due to hormonal change, due to the natural childbirth, that it is common that weaken the muscles around the bladder. It can be also due to aging process, which is the most common, due to menopause, due to a decrease of certain types of hormones that can keep the bladder healthy. And of course in men it can be due to prostate problems or issues like certain types of disease, cancer, and other types of disorders. And for all of this, of course, the risk factors for enuresis or incontinence in adults, it's usually the pregnancy, the aging process, the overweight, the smoking, and eventually some genetic heritage that it can be coming from a family that brings some type of disease like the ones that we talked here before. Also, it's very important to understand that this type of issue even if it's enuresis in children or incontinence in adults. It usually brings other types of problems like skin issues, eczema, rashes, infections, because the skin is always or most of the time wet. And of course it's a huge problem for socialization, for the daily life routines, particularly in the working space or in the personal relationships. Also, psychological problems can eventually lead to enuresis during childhood and even during teenager times. It can be really a result of a high level of stress, a traumatic experience, abuse, parental conflict, disruption, or even hospitalization. It can be caused by simple events like moving from one place to the other, moving from one home to the other, the enrollment in a new school or in a new environment, or the death of a close person. But enuresis is not caused by a mental disorder or a mental problem. It is always caused by external factors that cause this type of reaction in the body, so it's a physical reaction. The good news is that enuresis it can be treated in most of the cases, of course depending on the causes. If you or a child are suffering from this type of issue, you have to seek a healthcare provider to look at your treatment options and eventual prevention. Of course, not all the incontinence has treatment, but there are solutions that can ease your daily life routines. And so that's all for today, guys. I hope you like it. I hope you subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up, share with a friend, comment if you want, and I'll see you next time for another video. Bye!